with the mission to keep as many men on as many guns for as long as possible. We called him Doc. Welcome to Combat Vet Vision. And now your host, Aaron Chief Sieber.
The only way, like the sunbathing goodbyes. Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Combat Vet Vision. Hey, this is brought to you by SitchRadio.com. Producer and manager of my show, Brian Colburn, putting this thing out. It's really great to have him and putting my show out. So in Combat Vet Vision, this is a place where we, myself and other combat veterans, get to talk about their stories, their situations, their life, and what's going on, and how they feel about things that are affecting them day in, day out, all the time. Experiences, things like that, help educate the public as well as those guys that might be dealing with some things, and give them some ideas on how to better manage. I got Michael Amato again on deck again, a good buddy of mine, combat vet, United States Army on deck, and we're doing a segment on. We've done segments on creating chaos and on politics. I'm out, which kind of means like, hey, there's a lot of politics going on. All these different things are going crazy, but we're not really involved because there's certain reasons why, and there's certain things that we believe that, hey, we will stand the line until pushed, and hopefully good men will continue doing good things when bad things are happening. But Mike, hey, welcome to the show. Thanks a lot for being on deck. Appreciate you, brother. All the way from Virginia.
East Tennessee, bud. I'm up against the border.
East Tennessee, but you're really, I always think that you're in Virginia, but you're always like what, 11 miles from Virginia or something like that. Something crazy cool.
Yeah, something real close.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back. And I know, this is one of those things, like, and I want to reiterate, this is our opinion. This is how we look at life. And sometimes our opinions, I may not agree with Mike on a lot of things, and we haven't in the past, or even at times, but hey, we're battle buddies. We do a lot of things. We come together to make things happen. But irregardless, life is affecting us in different ways. And we spent some time talking, Mike, yesterday on the show's direction and what you wanted to do with it. And I thought it was really, really cool and unique. And I think it's one of those things that we all need to take a look at what's working for us, right? What is working for us as veterans, as combat vets? What is working for us as a society? What is working for us as this? But the bottom line is we have to care about one another. And we kind of talked about that care being, you can chase the all-American dollar until you phase yourself out of being able to live a life. You can focus so much of your attention on smashing the small guy until you're blue in the face. But at the end of the day, are you able to live a life that's comfortable and good and loving and caring and uprising for not only you, but possibly others? It's not like, if it's your deal not to care about the other guy, we've talked about that. It's your deal. But should we? We should. As Americans, we should, right? We've cared enough about this country long enough to care about one another, our neighbors. Bible scripture, love thy neighbor like thyself. You can name a lot of different things. I think they're good rules to live by, and I think we've talked about that. But Mike, get into some stuff, man. But before we do that, give an introduction to yourself real quick so people can recognize who you are and what you've done before.
Yeah, those of you who don't know who I am, I'm the crazy vet with a crazy beard, kind of looking like a Smurf. I have my views and my thoughts on the way things are, and that's just kind of how it is. I don't care to keep my mouth shut, so that's why I'm here today. Other than that, when it comes down to it, we're talking about the fabric of society. You guys need to understand that the fabric of everyday life is starting to crumble around you. There's no more, well, this is just a conspiracy theory, or we're past probable cause. Like we already have established the problem. You know the problem, you see the problem. Most vets are articulating only portions of it and only giving the people portions. Here today, I believe you guys should be able to within an hour, even though it probably should take 10 hours to explain it. We're going to try to combine it down to something more manageable where you guys can understand what's really going on around you.
Well, we have about 40 minutes left, but
yeah. So one of these podcasts where we're going to get real deep real quick. I've been paying attention to a lot of other people, and Smarter people than me, and that's where I gain my knowledge from. I don't consider myself very smart. The more I know, the less I actually know. So any educated person out there understands that statement. But I mean, let's start with day-to-day politics of your day-to-day family life. You can't tell me as an American citizen or a Ukrainian or a Russian or a Chinese person. I mean, it don't matter where you are around the world. If you're affecting, you think you're alone, you think you're just living in this little zone, doing your day-to-day and not causing harm. But by you ignoring this problem, this beast, it's getting bigger. It is time for you all to wake the fuck up. That's summarizing it. Like,
hey, that's a good way to summarize it, because for the longest time I know everybody wants this to be about America, but if you think that the global market doesn't exist, you're sadly mistaken. Everything's global. So you can either get on with your life and understand that, or just think that you're running that line that you're talking about.
Yeah.
You got the blinders on and nothing's affecting me. You're totally wrong. You're affecting other people. Everything that we do, our driving styles, to shopping at the supermarket, to the plastic that's obviously all over the planet. And we talked a little bit about the plastic bag deal.
Yeah.
Some government agency or somebody made a lot of money going to, hey, we're going to get rid of plastic bags by making you pay for them. And by paying for them, I don't know why I wasn't paying for the same plastic bag that I did yesterday to a plastic bag that is far more worse for the environment. That thing's an industrial bag.
Yeah.
I mean, I could hold, 50 pounds of baggage versus, the 10-pound bag that rips after, a certain amount of time. The deterioration factor to me was just like a shot in the face, like, oh, it's for the environment. It was a trick. And, some government agency made that happen. So these tricks are happening left and right, and somebody's getting rich off of it, and they're not really caring about the things that you think they're supposed to care about.
Yeah.
And, before it was like, there's a border problem. Sure there is. Nobody really believed in it. But now you can see it full-fledged effects of life, and it's affecting everything. Some other things. Go ahead, Mike.
Really, you've already been pushed as an American citizen or a citizen of this earth, a human being. If you deem yourself a human, if you're non-binary, turn this off, because we're not talking to you. You've decided to leave the group. All right. The group of the people that are humans and deem themselves to be human. I can show you how to control you. All I have to do is slowly push you away till you're so far away from the group. By the time you reach out and say, I need help, no one hears you. That's a simple explanation. You might go, why is he talking like this? This has nothing to do with my life. How many times did you not speak up in the past year to something going on around you, whether business, personal life? I mean, I've had personal friends recently I've called out. Robert, love you, bro. I thought I had beef with him, thought we weren't, and whatnot. Come to find out, I was the idiot. I mean, sometimes you need to be willing to admit your mistakes. Sometimes you are the one that caused it. Your ego will be the thing that you're going to hold on to and grip and think it's saving you. It's actually drowning you. And not just America's ego, this, not just the individual. This is the nation and the economy. Our beef in America comes from Brazil. It's not American. It says USDA. It was inspected by an inspector, but it's not American. You're not helping the rancher. You're not helping the farmer by going to Walmart, Target, all these companies, corporations. If you want it to be all American, you need to be reaching out to the farmer. Direct. Screw the middleman. That's the way to protect your family. You notice Walmart can all of a sudden say there's no meat on the shelf. We can't get no meat. That's a lie. Food, all this control, it's all lying. They're all lying to each and every single one of you. Yes, I know there's more involved than what I might be telling you, but we had 40 minutes to tell you this shit. It's about getting you fired up and you going back and fact checking us. All right. And you know what? We're only observing what we're seeing. So if we're wrong, please explain to us, because no one's telling us anything anymore other than what they want you to know. I mean, you go in and you think you're buying it and it says on sale, but really you're paying 3 times the amount of what it costs. The game has been to keep you down, not up. People keep getting amazed when they find out, and we all laugh at that. Oh, yeah, we know, but then we keep carrying on like it's not happening. Stop being ignorant. Wake up. It's time.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. It's not just that, Mike. I mean, we talked a lot about yesterday about obviously this war that's affecting
Yes.
Ukraine and Russia, and Russia invaded a free nation, a free country, um, and sadly, and I'll say it sadly because of President Biden's actions with his son in Burisma, and everyone knows that story. It made Ukraine look hugely bad. But if you're the guy with the power and you go into a country and you're like, hey, I'm not going to give you this money unless you filter something off the top and make some crazy side deal, and I have the power because I represent the government, and I'm not going to give you this money that the government has established that's supposed to be for you unless you pay some part of it to this. That's a thug type lifestyle. That's a way crazy thing, and you can even see where he actually says this on video and goes into this whole laughter about how he went in there and made this deal with them. And I wasn't going to leave there, and I was going to leave there with not give them the money unless they made this deal. And it was like, what deal? Well, we all know what that deal is now because it's kind of been out there. But those kind of things really make Ukraine look really horrible. And now they're getting pounded by a foreign country that's like the second most powerful economy on the planet. And I would like to see them help, not only because I'm married to a Ukrainian and I lived there for a year and a half, understanding the principles of that country, and those people they're nice dressed, they're not on drugs. You couldn't find, I mean, you talk about going to a nice environment where people are just working to work for their money, $500 to $1,000 a month is what they're working for, but they're living a life that's comfortable to them. They're living a life that they're happy with. And now they have to deal with this embrace of for
Of
30
death.
about they're facing death. They're facing death because
what it is.
some big country wants to thug them up, and
exactly. And
America, but the picture right now is like some people are like, oh, we think that Ukraine's a corrupt nation, and we talked about it. Every nation's corrupt. I think, if you think about, what is it that you did today that's corrupt? Well, I went across the yellow line a little bit on my driving, or, did you do it on purpose? Not necessarily. I did a U-turn where one wasn't allowed. I hit the pedal a little hard and sped more than I should. Those kind of things, that's what we do. Not necessarily everybody, but I'm saying in general, there's something that everybody's doing that might be corrupt. You're trying to figure out the tax piece. You're doing your taxes a certain way, and you're trying to figure that out. And that's fine. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to figure out how can we get the best out of our government. But
when it comes down to it, I hate to interrupt you, but you got me fired up. Because I'm fired up about this war, and especially on my views on it. There's no righteous side, I don't think. War is war. War is killing. I've killed people. I know, so I don't need another man to tell me what war is about. War is about killing. There's no rules in war. We try to set rules, right? But at the end of the fucking day, if we drop a bomb that hits a school, oh fucking well, those kids got the shit into the stick, as we like to say, and that is a horrible thing to say, but that is war. You got to process it one way or another. That's how you end up with PTSD when you don't process it. Now look at the aftermath of war. We've got well over 10 million people affected by Russia and Ukraine and this beef, which was brought on by America. I mean, America in our big ass head, we don't need to be doing the things we're doing. We're constantly searching for conflict compared to not. It's pretty weird that we scream out we're the arbitration of peace. We're the arbitrators of peace. We're here to bring peace to the people, but yet we're causing more war. Yet, Putin, when he says like who did what in this, obviously every American person will go, you need to stay with the narrative. I know how S2s ran. You guys all lie to each other and only inform each other of what they really need to know. And then that's how it trickles down to us, the guys with the boot and the rifle, putting in the foot up the ass of the enemy. But we don't want to kill them. I had no beef, with any Russian. Matter of fact, the women are gorgeous. Same thing with Ukraine. Same thing. They're all Slavs. They have no business shooting each other, but they are because they're both being pressured. And that's what happens when you push people against the wall like Russia was done. I think that I'm by no means a Putin apologist. He should hang just like every other leader. I think the original Astru thought process on dealing with power is whoever leans over has to bend down, lower themselves to pick up the power. So you might think you have a righteous reason. You might use the internet for righteous reasons, but there's still 80% of it is porn and pedophilia. So to sit there and tell me, and this is not to you, brother, this is to the other people that are so poignanted on, well, we need to give more money or we need to just stop the war. No, it's a fucking vacuum now. You've got a vacuum of power and a vacuum of people who have fought and died, and they can't die in vain on both sides. So now we're put ourselves in a world conflict. Whether or not we want to say it's World War III, your life is affected by a Russian. Your life is affected by a Ukrainian out in the Philippines, you know, and the grain, your beer prices, everything is due to triple in the next 5 to 10 years because of this one war. We haven't even gotten to Taiwan yet. I mean, wake up. If you guys want peace, let's go for peace. If you want to kill each other, you guys can come out to my ranch where I slaughter animals myself, and you can get in line with the other chickens. I'm sick and tired of it. You know, this world needs to wake up.
Hey, but you're eating those chickens, by the way.
Damn straight. I got two. I'm barbecuing one today. You know?
Yeah, you know, it's not. He's not just, you know.
Yeah, I don't do it for sport.
He's not sporting any slaughtering over there.
Yeah.
You know, but he's eating. You know, and I mean, that's the way it is. And you know, but I will say, you know, Russia went into a free nation and took some land.
Yeah,
and that's the big no. You know,
yeah.
they should never have done that. You know, if you work your hard-earned money, and this is the other thing, you know, for you squatters out there that are doing that shit, you know, that's some bullshit. You know, somebody worked really hard probably to own their land, and you're busting in and taking over their house and identifying yourself as the owner. And you know, there's some really corrupt shit going on, and it's possible to do it in this country legally, almost, even though it's illegal. By the time it's said and done, it turns out to be a legal document, and there's people taking people's property and doing all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah, California is retarded. Vote out all freaking politicians in the state of California. If you're in California and you don't like communism and you think the guy standing in front of you in that political office is not a communist, he's communist. Trust me, I've gone full Tennessee, bud. I ain't coming back to that place other than to visit. I mean, that's it. Like, you guys got to wake up. I mean, now we've talked about waking up, but how can you wake up? How can you, especially if you don't like what's going on? Because I haven't met an American that is happy with current events. I haven't met one person who's happy with Biden. I haven't met one person who is really, truly happy with Trump. I mean, everybody said, well, there was this and that, right? What are we going to do? Well, let's start paying attention to what we can do. Pay attention to your rules and your laws in your town. Pay attention to voting and get yourself involved. Currently, right now, from Sean Ryan podcast to Joe Rogan podcast, all these other podcasts are sitting there talking about we're on the verge of civil war. How about we take ourselves the fuck away from it? How about we do that? You know, like, if you're offended with violence, how about we focus on peace? If you have a plot of land, how about you focus on a garden? If you can't do a garden, how about you focus on something else? Well, I don't need that. I go to the store. Well, I got a bunch of money. That's your problem. You know, I got a bunch of money too. Got 3 cars, multiple homes, 60 acres of land. I'm doing good, but I'm feeding people. Just the other day, I made sure a woman living in a single wide trailer had enough eggs and meat to feed her family. I mean, how hard is it to go out and do what you can if you're capable? If you're not, hey, sit down and let us stronger men and women stand up. You know, when no one that is good does anything, you might as well say you're down with the crime. You might as well say you committed the crime. You might as well have been a part of the crime. Because when you good men and good women stand there and do nothing, evil prevails every single time. That's a truth statement, whether you're a pagan, a Christian, a Muslim, it doesn't matter. A Jew, doesn't matter. We as people need to stay together. It doesn't matter the politics. Those politics, they don't give a shit about you. Trump loves me only because I'm standing for him. At the end of the day, he's standing for America. He might be the one guy who's willing to fight the good fight. But at the same time, he's not perfect. We're all pieces of crap at the end of the day. We all have to go take
I will point out this too. Trump has never been a politician until he had to be. And he what he was is a pissed off American, and that's something that can be said.
Yes.
And as much as we want to believe that he's against this war, I believe he is. But I definitely hope he makes the right decision when it comes to what he needs to do to take care of it. And I don't know what that is, because he hasn't laid out a plan. But hey, and I want to say this too. I want to remind everybody, these are our opinions. This is our focus. This is kind of how we view things. Our minds get a little fired up and different things. We're only going off what we know. There's a lot of background stuff that we don't see. And it's probably what nobody wants to know. But at the end of the day, all you can really focus on is what you're doing, and you need to feel good about every movement that you make, whether you're collecting a paycheck because you're handicapped or whatever it might be, to you're making all kinds of money. What are you doing to provide a pathway that's a quality pathway, something that's going to give you something back in life? Are you living life, or is life living you? And that's just one of those focuses. But hey, we'll come back. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back to this.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Old Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
All right. Hey, we're back. Hey, I'm with Mike Amato. He's a good buddy of mine, United States Army. And just again, to remind everybody, hey, this is our opinions. This is the way we look at it. You could think that we're dumb. We don't know what we're talking about. But what we do know what we're talking about is we're talking about how we see it. And, this is how we're seeing America right now. This is how we're seeing the world right now. And it's an unfortunate thing that's going on underneath the veil of everything. So, there's a lot of people being born. There's a lot of people, the masses are growing, the population is growing, traffic's getting crazy out there, no matter where you live. There's just a lot of things going on. And, but hey, we're talking about what are we doing to make a better path? And this in itself can create chaos and we're that's part of the program here. Creating chaos is the mindset that we as veterans kind of take on, is that there's 2 burdens that we're carrying. We're carrying the burden of civilian life and our past military life, which gave us the sense and duty to stand the wall and defend this country and have this ownership to this nation in some way, and to fly the flag that represents the freedom that we understand that can be taken at any given moment, because we've stepped outside those lines, some of us, and have crossed into the zone of non-freedom, where freedom doesn't exist. And we've lived in that. And we pushed our way through it so that we can get back to the freedom that we wanted to, and we can taste it differently. So that in its sense creates chaos. And that's why you don't see, I talked to Mike about it yesterday. We were talking about how, you don't see a mass amount of those that know how to fight a fight taking and getting out there in the environment. There's onesies and twosies that might be shooting up someplace, but there's a lot of shootings going on in this country. And good men that don't handle those situations, that would just be chaos. And so you got all these states, you got all these other weird policies where guns are not allowed, but it has the most guns in the place. More guns are found in that zone than should be. You're basically tying the hands of those that would defend this nation. And so, getting involved in some of that stuff, it's like we as veterans, for the most part, I see as doing great things, for good times, for good people.
Yeah,
And we carry those burdens, but we're not here to destroy society until we're pushed into a corner where then we have to beg and plead with tears in our eyes. Can we please just get along? Until getting along just doesn't work, and we're forced to take that step. But I hope it doesn't ever come to that, and I hope that we continue to try to do what Mike's saying is, care about each other a little more, push for a better pathway. I see that greed a lot kicking in. You talked about that, Mike, yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of greed going on in this country. It takes a little bit of humbleness to kind of sit back and go, hey, I don't need to be so greedy. What I do need to do is be involved in my family's life a little more, make sure that my kids are being raised with love and concern and care. Because sometimes I am guilty of not doing the caring enough. And I take a stance like everything needs to be safety. That wouldn't have happened if you were safe.
Yeah.
I need to not be that guy sometimes.
Yeah.
I need to be like, hey, I still care about you. Everything's good. But I find myself being like this robot almost, and I need to break out of that mold a little bit and care. Caring is super important, and that's something that I know Mike and I are trying to discuss in this too.
Yeah, we as people, a lot of people like to say to be selfish is the wrong thing, and I'm telling you to care. We're talking about caring and chaos and all that, but really, you don't get the good without the bad. Everything stems from each other. So you kind of have to blend everything in. I know there's a lot of people who will argue this and say, well, I see white and black. That's awesome. Good for you. You live in a sea of gray. Sooner you realize that the glass is half empty and half full, the sooner you can always judge the situation best. You need to know truly right from wrong in all situations. And you need to get out, push yourself, and learn. Failure. So many people in America are scared of failure because of the new public persona of being caught failing. I fail every day. I look dumb every day. I'm leading a company. You think I don't look dumb? The only point is I'm willing to just smile at it and keep moving forward. I will never retreat from life. I will never retreat from my emotions. Something I tell myself every day. If I beat myself up, hey, you needed to feel that. That's why you did that to yourself. This is why you're crying in front of a mirror today. You need to know yourself and love yourself before you love thy neighbor. So love yourself, be strong, be willpowered, start listening to motivational things, start learning more, and start paying attention to the world around you, because safety is like a tent. You think you're safe behind that little sheet? You're not. It's a facade of safety. Yeah, it stops you from water. Yeah, it kind of gets the wind off you, but I mean, anything comes by, you're gone. You're not safe. Just because you built a castle, you feel safe inside? No, it's the men and the women that are defending you. You need to understand who's throwing themselves into the meat grinder, who's caring for you, and you need to stand with them. Don't go out and get fired up from this and think that violence is the right answer. It's the opposite. You're the problem. You're the problem if you're thinking screaming, yelling, shooting people, whatever, or, I hate Biden, but let him be hung in court. We don't need to pull him out and do some stupid crap. We as Americans need to stand together and unite. I mean, after 9/11, the CIA said we need another 9/11 to wake up the American people. But slowly you guys are, because not just us on this one podcast, every major single one is trying to wake people up. The only ones that aren't are the legacy media. They're trying to keep you back into that little box where you're going to be forced to live. And yeah, this is my opinion. You might love that box and think it's the most beautiful box in the world. That's great. That's what I fought for, is your right to choose. All right. So if you look at this and go, man, he just brought on a motto, another crazy Army vet guy with a dwarf looking beard, maybe, but I know that everything I say can be checked on. I know that the Great Awakening is a real thing in the United States. We need to grow up. We need to do more positive. We need to love thy neighbor. We need to be calm and respectful and hold the door for the elderly. One day you're going to be that person. Every time I fought the system, I lost. Even if I thought I won, I lost. I never came out on top. I mean, never once. You can think you are, but you ain't. And with the amount of power being held on by those in power currently right now, I'm speaking directly to you. Be at fear. Be fearful of the fact that people are coming for you. They're coming for your power because you're holding on to it and you're refusing to allow Americans to live. There's not a single nation on this planet that is allowing Christians to live as Christians should. We are all being forced to give a little bit of our soul to something we don't want to. Think about that for a second. Think about what you're actually forced to do day in and day out. If you really, really want a positive way to go forward, you need to start loving your neighbor, because that's the only way to get the animosity to go away. You know, if a guy comes up to me screaming and cursing, talk about how I cut him off and he wants to fight me, I'll be calm for about 5 seconds. After that, it was a mistake, dude. You're blowing up and you need to calm down. And that's the world. You know, I know you might think because you're older or maybe or younger than me or whatever may be the situation of whatever wisdom you've gained in life, but the collective consciousness needs to be still in line for us as a people to move forward. You know, it's not some hoopla in a book. It's not some mysticism, some magic. You know, this is all relative to each other. I mean, you sit there and you charge your phone and they're charging you to charge your phone. But where does the power go once you expel the power from their phone? They're charging you for that same power again that they're reharnessing back through the same systems that they could afford. You know, we're being told to go buy an electric car that takes 1,000 homes to charge in 30 minutes. And you're telling me you're helping the environment, but yet we have a hydrogen fuel system that the Navy's using on their cruisers and destroyers, sucking seawater up. They never need to come home. Why aren't we doing the same thing when we have the technology? It's because the people in power want you to be where you're at. I own a company. I know exactly how it is. If I hire you and I notice you're not good enough, I'll keep you over here. And I will keep you there. Think about that when you go to work, why you do the job you do. Think about yourself for a second. It's not about me, in my opinion. I'm just trying to get you to think. And that's all that matters to me.
Good stuff, Mike. You know, that's the one other thing too that ends up being a problem. I mean, a lot of people are wondering, you know, how is it that they do this? And I think it's because we need to collaborate and have conversations like this with you and me, because you can have this conversation in your mind and it's only going to stay in your mind because your mind's not going to change by itself. It needs some influence. It needs some stimulation. It needs some motivation. It needs something to help it move to another thought, because people can get stuck in their minds. And that's the other thing that's really hurting our veterans. I mean, that's the suicidal issue, is that guys stay in their mind. They just turn until they can't stand it anymore. And that pushes them to the level of where they take their lives. And I think, you know, I think it's super important that we as a society start talking to each other and start appreciating even the angry and the frustrating. This is why we can have this intense conversation. I'm just going to put this out there to the public, because you might think that this was super intense, but me and Mike have intense conversations like this all the time. But you know, when we step into society, we have to change ourselves. We have to curve ourselves a little bit to temper society's understanding and perception of what they need to be able to perceive in us. And so we kind of filter some of these things automatically, but at the same time, we need to be amongst ourselves sometimes to not filter it, to let it flow, to collaborate on things and actually just come up with some good thought processes and move forward in a positive direction. And I think Mike wasn't always able to do it, and I wasn't always able to do it as well as I'm doing it now. But I feel like we've came a long way because we've talked to each other for long periods of time and about really deep, dark problems and situations. And, you know, hopefully we manage each other out of a suicidal issue, or other veterans that are dealing with suicide issues. We need to push them into directions that they need to get help with. And, you know, we've all, me and Mike have all grabbed pieces of things that have bettered ourselves along our way.
Mm-hmm.
And I would ask society to take a look at that and say, hey, what is society doing? Is it part of the problem or part of the solution? And you got to ask yourself that question. Everything you do. Did I not turn my turn signal on and I screwed that guy out of a mile and a half of traffic because now he's stuck there again because I'm turning here, but he could have went, you know, you just screwed some guy out of, part of his life, a 1.5 miles worth of cars traveling by or something. I don't know. I look at it like that. But every moment is a time to kind of embrace and figure out where you're at in that moment. Like, what does this moment mean to you? Even though you're frustrated, you still got your family, you're safe. You're able to look around and just be like, oh, I didn't notice that tree right there. And I just wanted to look at that tree. And you get a chance to look at a tree, maybe. That 1.5 miles of traffic, you got to make the best of it.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Mike, hey, we only got a couple more minutes, so throw some finishing thoughts in there. And
you guys, I've gone on a personal journey wanting to learn physics. Never really was taught it. Never got a high school diploma. So didn't really understand it. Found out that power, only moves from one object to another. You can't make a perpetual motor out of magnets. I thought I was a genius one day. Went on YouTube for 2 seconds, found out 1 billion other people have thought of that prior and have already found out that it's impossible. So think about that for a second to those in power. They're not going to be stuck in power forever. Something miraculous always happens to them, right? So, if you are just one of those people that just can't face what we just spoke about today, I get you. And you're the reason why I speak about it. You're the reason why I fought. You're the reason why I cared. So don't take things too insane and live each day the best to your abilities. Thank you guys for hearing me. I hope you all have a good one.
Yeah, that's good. Good finishing thought, Mike. Hey, the last thing I kind of want to put out there, and I want to start focusing on is, if you are stuck in your mind, if you are dealing with these things as a combat vet, first responder, or even in person, what are you doing to focus in a direction that's positive? And what are you grabbing? What moment are you living in to kind of take it in? Because you can come up with all the excuses. I'm depressed. I don't want to get out of bed. I've already done all this training and this thought process, and it's not helping. What are you getting out of it? What are you getting out of that? What can you do with your disabilities? What can you do with your thoughts? And best of all, are you on a path that's good for you? So it's one of those things that kind of been on my mind today as I was talking to some veterans that are dealing with some stuff this week. And I think it's one of those things that I need to kind of always ask that question to you as society, as a listener to the show. But hey, it's always awesome to talk to Mike. It's Mike's part of the series, Creating Chaos or Politics I'm Out. And this is our opinion, because this is how we look at society. We may not have all the inside know-how of it all, but at the same token, we're able to see things around us because we take a look at it. We kind of, take it in and kind of say, hey, what is this doing to affect my life? And if you're doing to affect somebody's life in such a negative way, reevaluate that, because that's really being not only selfish to you, but to other people. Because if your will is imposing itself on me to the point where you're now creating a blockage in my freedom, my ability to be free, that's a problem, and you're part of the problem, not the solution. So just think about that, but stay motivated. Do what you can. Hey, this is Aaron Siebert, retired Navy Chief, signing off. Until next time, strength and honor. Out.
Under blue skies, the only way, like the sun bidding goodbye, the only way, and we need nothing more. The only way, together forever, that's for sure.